Backed by a massive campaign war chest, Raja Krishnamoorthi built an early advantage in the Democratic primary for U.S. Senate. But the campaigns for the political titans racing to replace Dick Durbin say the contest has tightened. Tonight, Raja Krishnamoorthi gets to the point.
From Chicago's very own, with WGN Political Editor Tahman Bradley, this is The Point.
Good evening. Less than a week to go. Raja Krishnamoorthi's recent Get Out the Vote push has taken him from Cairo to Bloomington to Rock Island. Today it was Round Lake Beach, where the candidate greeted union supporters at Campestre Mexican restaurant. The rival campaign of Juliana Stratton says the race is close, citing polling from supporters showing Stratton ahead. That's not what Krishnamoorthi's camp says they're seeing. Their internal polling has the congressman leading. Earlier today, we sat down with Krishnamoorthi for a conversation from the campaign trail.
He was there in Washington and in Illinois fighting for us, so I just want to give you a...
Congressman, thanks for your time.
Absolutely.
There's talk on the campaign trail of this thing called stratomentum. Do you feel it? Do you see it?
I don't see it, but on the other hand, I think that I believe that this election is going to be tight. It's going to be close. It's going to be something that we need to run all the way up till the final day. You can't take anything for granted, and we just have to meet every voter in every corner and ask for their support. And so far, so good.
You sound like a candidate who maybe realized that things are tightening. It's fun for people who do what I do because it seems like every day we're getting a poll. Stratton supporters put out a poll, you put out a poll, there's back and forth. Are you going to win?
I believe so, yeah. I think that at the end of the day, I think people need a candidate who's best experienced, best positioned to deal with two issues. One issue is the issue of meeting their economic challenges. I think a lot of people are economically distressed right now, and as a former small business person, someone who signed the front of the check and the back of the check, as well as worked on these issues for a decade, I believe I'm most well positioned to deal with that. And then the other second set of issues is how do you hold this government accountable? And after a decade of holding bullies and bad actors accountable and standing up to them, whether it was big tobacco, going after them for fueling the vaping epidemic, causing Time magazine to say I have a jewel-shaped target on my back, or helping to prevent the Kroger-Albertsons merger, which would have hiked prices and hurt workers. I think that people know that, I'm best positioned to stand up to the biggest bully of them all, Donald Trump.
We're here in the suburbs. I know you've been downstate. Is that your path to victory?
Well, I think that we're going to, as I said before, we're going to try to earn the support of every voter in every corner of the state. Having worked in the city, represented the suburbs, and being a son of downstate, I think I'm, again, best positioned to represent all of Illinois. There's a lot of voters in the suburbs, a lot of voters downstate. Of course, there's a lot of voters in the city, and I think we just need to make sure that we appeal for 51% or greater of all of those votes.
Robin Kelly's allies in Congress, the CBC, called out Governor Pritzker for trying to tip the scales in the contest. Has it been difficult to overcome the governor's investment in this race? How difficult has it been having him endorse your opponent? Not
a difficulty that's insurmountable. I think that in my particular case, I'm proud of the 100 downstate leaders that I've been privileged to receive the endorsement of, more than 100 black pastors, more than 50 Latino pastors, 14 labor unions. And so I'm proud of the rank and file leadership that I've received. I know others have received establishment leadership, and that's fine. I feel like I am the candidate of the people, and I'm going to do everything I can to maintain their support.
Late in this race, the Tribune put out an article looking at your fundraising, talking to people who worked for you. They say you're taking money from India, Hindu nationalist movement types. Do you support that movement?
No, and this is a racist trope because some of the people that they cited as somehow Hindu nationalists have donated to Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, numerous Democratic causes, and yet those people are not somehow affiliated with, are not called out for somehow affiliating with Hindu nationalists. And I have more than 90,000 donors. And so that lends me a certain amount of independence that nobody else has in this race. At the end of the day, I have to be, and I am, a candidate for all of the people of Illinois, regardless of who they are. I've condemned discrimination by any group toward another, whether they're Muslims, Hindus, Jews, or Christians, whether they're here, whether they're in India or elsewhere, and have acted and spoken out in a way consistent with that.
That Tribune article had people who work for you saying that you're laser focused on fundraising, almost to the detriment of your other duties, and that you're hard on your team if they didn't reach fundraising quotas and things like that. Is that true?
Well, first of all, I think with regard to my office, I think the Tribune, that same Tribune that you are quoting, endorsed me 5 times in a row and said that we had stellar constituent services, as well as I'm one of the most effective legislators in the Democratic Party. And so, again, I prioritize representing my constituents and the people over anything else. With regard to fundraising, it's stressful. Basically.
Did you take that stress out on staffers?
I think I took it out on me, and definitely I wish I wasn't as stressed out as I was. I've gotten better over time. The one thing that I can say is nobody's bankrolling my campaign. I have to do all of my fundraising as well as my campaigning, and as an immigrant and as somebody who's clawed my way to where I am, I think a lot of your viewers and folks that are watching this program will identify with the fact that you just have to work harder, and that's what I do.
Stratton's closing with Elizabeth Warren. There's an event on Friday. How are you wrapping up this campaign?
Well, we're basically meeting people where they are in different places, such as here in Lake County, where we're sitting right now. I'll be in other parts of the Chicago area over the next couple of days with supporters, as well as conducting interviews like this and doing everything I can to kind of get out the vote.
You've been running for a while. You want this badly, don't you?
I think that right now everything is on the line. Everything that we care about. I'm a product of public housing and food stamps. I would not be here but for this government and the people of this country. My story is an unlikely one. The legal immigration system that enabled me as an immigrant to come here is under attack. That's why I've called for abolishing Trump's ICE. The public housing, food stamps, and the social safety net that enable us to survive is now on the chopping block. And the public schools that were the gateway to the American dream are under assault as Trump seeks to close the Department of Education. Everything is on the line, everything that I care about. So, yes, I absolutely want to do everything I can to win this race and to represent the people of Illinois consistent with their best interests.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Congresswoman Robin Kelly isn't giving up her fight as the primary winds down. Recent polling shows Kelly holding steady in 3rd place, but Kelly says she's not worried about her opponents.
I'm running my race, and hopefully people will realize whoever has the most money doesn't make you the best candidate, or it doesn't mean that you've done the most. And I talk about campaign finance reform. Good people don't win, good people don't run, and good people don't stay in because they're tired of being on the rat race, of money. And money should not decide who should be in Congress or the Senate.
Kelly cast her ballot in suburban Linwood this morning. Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton also sprinting to the finish line. She's hosting a Friday night rally with progressive Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren, and we'll take you back on the campaign trail tomorrow with the Lieutenant Governor's closing message. And we're back tonight in 60 seconds. With 1 week to go before Election Day, a new poll on the hotly contested 9th District is raising eyebrows. The Evanston Roundtable poll shows Mayor Daniel Biss with a narrow lead over content creator Kat Abughazaleh. The Public Policy Polling Report has Laura Fine sitting squarely in 3rd place. Kat's campaign is calling it Abugamentum. Many political watchers thought this was likely a 2-person race between Biss and Fine, but that may not be the case come next week. The next generation of campaign strategists may be on campus at Eastern Illinois University. Soon, students can earn a minor in political campaigning. 3 different departments on campus are developing courses aimed at training folks for the campaign trail. The curriculum includes public speaking, scheduling, and messaging. The minor was developed following the popularity of a class on political campaigning.
Students were really excited about it. They learned a lot from Mr. Morris about how they themselves could eventually go on and be campaign or run campaigns, which is something that a lot of political science majors aspire to do.
Students can add the minor to their studies starting in the fall. Tonight, we tip our hat to our friends at WTTW. They're once again publishing their comprehensive voter guide. Their website includes a candidate questionnaire, links to campaign sites, and explains where and how to vote. Strong material to get you set for Election Day next Tuesday. Don't forget about the forecasters on WGN+. Lourdes is back with more news tonight at 9 and 10. I'm Tahman Bradley. We're back on the campaign trail tomorrow. See you then.